thanks for joining us here for our Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review. I'm Spencer Chase, joined as always by Agri-Pulse Senior Editor Phil Brasher. And if you missed the video we did last week, if you'll allow me to shamelessly self-promote our product here for a second, I think it's a video that really applies within the next couple of weeks, really the next couple of months. We talked kind of in a bigger picture, more broadly about issues that agriculture will be facing on Capitol Hill in the coming weeks and months, things like child nutrition, tax extenders, the budget, really just broader issues that will be brought up in the next couple of months and timelines thereof. But this week specifically was the first week that the House and Senate were both back from their August recess. Right. And so a lot of procedural steps, a lot of jockeying for position behind the scenes on things that are bigger and broader politically, not so much specifically focused on agriculture, but could potentially have implications as far as timelines and things of that nature are concerned. Things like the Iran deal, things like Planned Parenthood debates and the struggle for leadership within the House GOP. So Phil, as we look at things like this, as we mentioned, they don't specifically have agriculture's name on them, but they do have the potential to impact agriculture going on down the road. How do you think this week will shape the environment in Congress going ahead in the next couple of weeks and months?
Well, Spencer, there's definitely some frustration among Republicans. They have been unable to stop the Iran deal. It's going to go through. President Obama has the votes. Another big issue for many Republicans is Planned Parenthood, and they are pushing the Republican leadership to insist that Planned Parenthood be defunded before the government is kept funded after October 1st, which is the start of the 2016 budget year. So there is this tension going on right now within the Republican caucus, particularly in the House, where conservatives are frustrated that they have not gotten a lot of things that they would like to see done. They would definitely see this Planned Parenthood issue as a winner, and they're putting a lot of pressure on House Speaker Boehner and other members of the Republican leadership.
And just looking ahead, there are things that agriculture needs to happen between now and September 30th, and it's looking like there's going to be a lot of things that Congress more broadly wants to do in between now and then. And you were telling me before we hit the record button on this one on a Thursday afternoon that a lot of conservatives are looking at the level of success that some presidential candidates are having and seeing this as reason to kind of stick to their conservative guns on a lot of issues.
Right. Well, they're listening to Donald Trump. They've watched during August his rise in the polls, even as they were back in their districts, and they're coming back here and saying, "Look, this shows that the people expect us and as Republicans here in Congress to insist on their conservative position carrying the day, regardless of what the president says, that we're capitulating too quickly, and so we need to hold the ground." It's also affected the immigration issue, which is critically important to agriculture. Donald Trump has called for deporting all of the immigrants that are in this country illegally. Obviously, that would have a dramatic impact on agriculture. It's not going to happen, but it is certainly pushing that debate into a more polarized place.
So the election is a year and 2 months away, already having impacts on Capitol Hill with the delegation that's already in place. And looking a little bit off of Capitol Hill, we do want to make sure we inform you about some rules that were developed as part of the Food Safety Modernization Act implementation, the governing process thereof. Phil, what can you tell us about the rules that were announced today, as a matter of fact? What can you tell us about those rules and what they're going to mean for the government and the states that are implementing them?
Right. The Food Safety Modernization Act is a law that was passed or enacted in early 2011 as a result of a series of outbreaks involving the wide variety of foods that the FDA regulates. This was particularly having to do with leafy greens and spinach and some other foods. It's a bill that gives FDA broad authority to regulate both what's grown on the farm, how it's grown, but also how foods are processed, both within the United States and particularly overseas. Big changes coming. The first two major packages of regulations or rules have now been finalized. These will require facilities that produce food and also animal feed and pet food to have food safety plans and specific preventive controls in place to ensure that those foods don't become contaminated.
So there's certainly a lot looking ahead on the Food Safety Modernization Act. I believe, are there more rules yet to come out of this?
Oh, there's a whole series of rules, including standards for growing produce, fruits and vegetables. Those will be under court-ordered deadlines. Those have to come out over the next few months. Almost the bigger issue, in addition to what's specifically going to be on those rules, we have a pretty good idea now because FDA has gone through and massaged, tweaked, made a number of changes. They've been very public about it. But the big issue for Congress is going to be providing FDA in the states with the money to do all the inspections and training that has to be done in order to implement these on the ground, on the farm and in the facilities and at the ports. And in foreign countries.
Well, certainly a lot of news ahead on Food Safety Modernization Act and issues on Capitol Hill. We'll be sure to keep you informed on everything relating to agriculture at Agri-Pulse.com. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Washington Week in Review. We thank you for joining us. For Phil Brasher, I'm Spencer Chase. Have a good one.